So a very warm welcome, actually a very cold welcome from Popham Airfield. It's pretty much 0 degrees, darn cold, but of course cold weather gives you great performance in these little aeroplanes. We're in the JP Logistics C152, really good representation of the 152. Lots of additional functionality, and it's well put together, and it flies very nicely. And we're at Popham, which is in Hampshire. And Popham, we'll just be doing a quick circuit here at Popham runway 26, and we'll have just quick look at the maps, because Popham is interesting insofar as the official publication for Popham Airfield. This is a runway 2608 here, and as you can see, it's a bit of a skewed circuit, with definitely a right turn out after takeoff, and then a right turn before you overfly whatever place this is here. This is probably a noise abatement type circuit. We're not going to do that because we're in a simulator and we don't have to. We're going to fly a straightforward rectangular circuit, which I'll bring up on screen now here. Popham is brilliantly situated because grass airfields are really hard to see in the real world and in the sim, and there's a lot of line features at Popham that help you identify exactly where it is. So first you've got the A303, which runs literally parallel to the 2608 runway, and you've got the M3 down here. Then you've got this big junction, A303 M3. That's a really good feature to look out for. It helps you identify where the airport is, the airfield is. Then you've got a railway just to the western end of it, and Basingstoke is just up here, just to the north east of the airfield. So yeah, we're just going to be flying a fairly straightforward rectangular circuit. I'll do my best. I haven't flown circuits for a long time, so after takeoff, it's full power, of course, in the 152. All climbs, takeoffs and climbs are done at full power on a GA aircraft. So full power, runway heading 260, 65 knots, 300 feet, flaps can come up, 500 feet, you turn right onto a crosswind. Crosswind heading is 350, 65 knots, again on full power, and you climb to 1,000 feet. Then you turn right onto a heading 080, which of course is the reciprocal of runway 26. Power reduced to 2,200, 2,300 RPM, looking for about 80, 85 knots, no more than that. Then you do downwind checks, which are bump pickle, brakes, undercarriage, mixture, but I can't really remember them, but we'll mash our way through them. And then you carry on downwind, you call the tower, say we're downwind, and but there's no tower here, so it's I don't know, it's a radio, I believe, anyway. So you would call the tower and tell them you're downwind. When you get to about 45 degrees from the threshold, you look over your shoulder and it's roughly 45 degrees behind you, the threshold that you're landing at. That's a good time to turn base leg. So base leg is a heading of 170, 65 knots, so you reduce power to idle. 2-stage flap, carb heat on. Carb heat adds warm air through the carburetor by taking hot air that is taken from around the exhaust manifold. And the reason you get hot air going through the carburetor is then you don't get ice forming in the carburetor, which of course will lead to an engine failure, which is a real thing, a real problem in GA aircraft. So carb heat, but only because you're on idle power. Okay, if you weren't on idle power and you're doing a powered descent, you probably wouldn't need carb heat. But here we're on an idle descent, carb heat comes on, you descend about 500 feet, you turn right onto final approach track, which is 260. Again, you're still looking for 65 knots. And when the landing is assured, you know you're not going to fall short of the runway. Full flaps, and when you have the decision to land, I am landing or doing touch and go, carb heat can come off. The reason you take carb heat off is because hot air into the carburetor, hot air is less dense, so you get less power. So carb heat off, then the engine is able to function at full power. You do get a reduction of about 100 RPM. Doesn't sound like a lot, but actually it could make the difference for you climbing out and not climbing out. So yeah, makes a difference. Right, so that's the circuit we'll be doing. Circuits, they sound dreadfully boring, but actually they're anything but. They're really exciting and a lot of fun to fly, especially if you vary them, because not only have you got just a standard circuit as I've described it, you've got short field circuit, you've got a glide approach, you've got a flapless approach. What if you get flap failure? It's completely different. You might have to do a short field takeoff, the ground might be muddy and soggy. Then you've got a lot of wind, adjustment. Today we're going to just have the wind coming straight down the runway pretty much. We might vary it a little bit, I don't know. But what if you've got a crosswind? That's going to change the whole thing. So people think that these are boring. Actually, they're anything but boring. Anything but boring. You'll see also, this is a screenshot from Navigraph charts, that it does have this black line here, which is actually the official circuit as I showed you earlier. There are two runways at Popham, so it's 0826 and 0321. So we're going to be going from 26. So let's get into the aircraft, and what we'll do first of all, we'll just adjust the weather a little bit. So we've got clear skies at the moment, so what we want to do is go to few clouds, few clouds, and what we're going to do is add a bit of wind. So we just adjust the wind height, so it's not just ground level, because we want the wind to be, at least takes us, we're going to be flying at 1,000 feet, so we want to make sure that that wind is above, the altitude that we're flying at. So I've set it to 3,000, you can make it 5,000, doesn't matter. We're going to set wind direction, we're going to keep it at 270, even though the runway's 260, 10 degrees is nothing, it's just, it's 10 degrees is not a crosswind. So we're going to move the meters per second indication of wind speed to just under 5 here. 5 will be okay, that's about 10 knots pretty much. And I'm also going to just change the barometric pressure. I've got to just remind myself how you do that in this. Can you do that? Can you do this? No. How do you change the pressure? Well, I don't know how you change the pressure. I thought you could just okay, let's close that down, see if we can open it up again, see if there is a way to get there we go, pressure. So we're just going to change it to something other than 1013. I'll explain why we'll do that in a sec. So 1021 we've got set. Okay, that's the QNH. Right, so we've got the QNH set 1021. Before we look at that, let's just get the developer camera on, and let's just maneuver our way to the windsock. The windsock is actually telling you a little bit more than you think. So we've just set the wind to come straight down the runway, pretty much, as you can see. That's 270, the runway's 260, so it's pretty much down the runway. And you can see here that actually there's the windsock is segmented. There's one segment, there's another. You've got two segments here. Each segment is about 5 knots. So you can immediately tell that the wind is 10 knots. And that is right. 5 meters per second is 10 knots. Okay? So you can, the wind sock tells you a little bit more than you think. Anyway, let's get back into the aeroplane. This is Payware by Burning Blue Designs. Really, really nicely. I've flown to Popham many times, so I like to have Payware for all the airports I've been to. So let's get inside the aeroplane. Okay, I'm going to do my best with this. Okay, and I haven't flown for a long time, and I'm not going to use a checklist because I'm you know, just far too lazy. So let's get the yokes out of the way. Now we've got fuel is set to tabs. Now let me explain what tabs is. When you open the fuel caps, which are on top of the aeroplane wings here and here, there's a little metal tab, that's what it's called, that comes down in the fuel tank, and you can see immediately where the fuel is because that tab indicates 2/3 full. So we've got at the moment the tanks filled to tabs, so we've got 2/3 fuel on board. Okay, and it's just visual check, and tabs is a good amount really just for circuits and, you know, single pilot operations, just for, you know, short hops. Obviously you can add fuel if you want, but fine. Tabs is what we used to use. You just fill it to tabs. Right, so let's get back inside. Park brake on. We just have a quick look around. So the windows are all closed, the doors are all closed, and the harnesses are all on. We'll pretend. So we put the alternator and battery on. We're going to tell people that we're in the aeroplane by putting the nav lights on. Put the beacon on because we're pretty much going to start it up straight away. And we'll just open the switch to fuel on. So fuel is on. And we're going to put the mixture to full rich. So I've got that set on my honeycomb throttle quadrant. And we're going to prime it 4, maybe 5 times, once more for luck. We're going to open up the window. Clear prop, so people know that you're just about to start. You've got the beacon light on, so you've got the little light at the back, rotating beacon, there it is, and your nav lights are on as well. Green this side, red the other side. So now we can just start the engine. Have a quick look around, make sure there's nobody walking near our airplane. Well, they are, but I think they've got their earphones on, they're not listening. So let me get the key turned. We just crack the throttle open to about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and we just move the key. So right, clear left, prop, both, and start. Okay, there we go, so it started. There we go, so set 1200 in the RPM. We do that. It took a bit of starting though, maybe I didn't prime it enough. Anyway, it took a bit of starting. It's a cold day, so the engine will perform really well because cold air is very dense. So 1200 RPM, we do that so it stops the spark plugs from fouling with an over-rich mixture, so you don't get oily, sooty deposits on the plugs. So we just keep it about 1200 RPM, and of course, there we go, that'll do. We can get our radios on, so we just click these little radio buttons, they can come on now. We're going to squawk 7000, I don't know whether that's still used today, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to set it to altitude reporting, and I think we're good. So park brake is on. We'll do one stage of flap, and I think on the grass airfield you probably wouldn't taxi with the flaps down. I can't remember what we used to do. So Cessna 152's got electric flaps. You just check that they're deployed both on both sides. You don't want asymmetric flap, you know, in case one is broken or something. So, and when you taxi on grass, and when you taxi anywhere really, you taxi with full back pressure on the yoke or stick, because that keeps the tail down and the nose up, adds clearance to the distance between the bottom of the propeller and the ground as you're taxiing, so it's full back pressure, and it also relieves the pressure on the nose gear. So okay, so let's switch the just check that we're clear, and we're going to taxi off to the left here. So park brake can come in, a little bit of power, and we get moving. Okay, and we taxi down the taxiway here, and full back pressure. Okay, we taxi nice and slowly. Oh, there's a bit of you can see that there's wind behind us, because there is some sort of effect here. I think that's sim effects that I've got running. I think that's quite good. And just coming past the flight school here that operates Icarus C152s. I've been one of those. We've got a truck here. What are you doing, matey? Get away. Anyway, taxi lights should come on. We didn't want to blind anybody. But now we're past all the where are you going? Oh goodness me. Oh dear. Obviously not the only Italian driving. Right, so we're just going to taxi all the way to the very end. So there's the petrol station. That's at the end of runway 26. We're just pretend we've got a taxi. That's the other runway down there. Yeah, down there, that's it. We're going to keep taxiing along here to the very end. Okay. We're going to just stop here before we line up. Again, 1200 in the RPM. We should do power checks. It's a simulator, so we're not. Just check our fuel. See, it's about a third on each tank. Oil temperature is not quite in the green yet, so really we shouldn't be going anywhere until that is in the green, because the engine oil is too viscous, so that really needs to come up. The JP Logistics does have failure modes, and it will fail on us. So I'm just going to put the park brake on and just give it just a few more revs in an effort to get the persuade the oil temperature to come up. And what we can do in the meantime is look at the altimeter, because we set the QNH for 1021. If I press B, or I set 1021 in the window here, just press B, it's easier and quicker, the altimeter will go to, what is it, 540, which is the correct altitude. It's 550, I think it's listed, Popham airfield in elevation. So if I was to fly a circuit 1,000 feet above this, it would be 1,550. Well, that's quite hard to get right, really. Well, it's not, but what we're going to do, we're going to set the altimeter to read 0. We're going to run on QFE, which is a field elevation. So I'm just going to bring the Knowlesman window back down so the altimeter reads 0. And that way when we fly our circuit, there we go, that's pretty much it there. That way when we fly a circuit at 1,000 feet, you know, we'll just be reading 1,000 feet here and be much easier. Next thing is we've got the DI here, the direction indicator, and that you would normally align with this. So this is reading 115, and that should be reading 115, and it is. Okay, but this is a mechanical instrument, it's a gyro driven, and that is subject to friction and will slow down with, you know, over time, so you would need to adjust it. And in the simulator that does start to slow down, and the heading does start to change, and it will no longer be aligned with the actual heading of the aircraft. This is prone to all sorts of errors, acceleration errors, turning errors, so you have to align that with this, but only when the aircraft is straight and level and not accelerating. So in the simulator you just press D. Let's press D and it's aligned. So just press D periodically and you might see that shift. Okay, so well, I think that needle is coming up a little bit. It's certainly now just edging into the green, so I'm just going to go for it. In the real world we probably wouldn't. So landing light can come on, taxi light can come off, strobe light can come on, flaps are down, and we're set to line up. So let's get the park brake off and let's get lined up. And again we just taxi full back pressure, and let's just see where that runway is. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're just gonna align, get ourselves in the middle. So okay, so we're just gonna come to a stop. Full back pressure, keep that pressure off the nose wheel. Okay, and we're gonna add full power gradually. Not too slowly, but not too quickly. You might get a rich cut if you do it too quickly. So full power we've got. Okay. And we're looking for 55 knots. 50 we've got, 55, and a little bit of back pressure, and the aeroplane will just lift off gradually. We're going to climb at 65 knots. Okay, so we can trim the aeroplane, so 65 knots is there. We're going to keep 260 on the heading here. So 260, 300 feet we're looking for. The 300 feet we're coming up to now. Flap can come up, aircraft will sink a bit. We're looking for about 500 feet to start turning our crosswind leg. We're looking for 65 knots as well. We're about let's go to our crosswind leg. We're looking for 65 knots, full power, and when 260 gets to this little white triangle here, we know we're exactly 90 degrees off the takeoff heading. There we go. And we're looking for 1,000 feet, 65 knots. I'm not doing very well with 65 knots, but you know, this simulator's not that easy. And we're 1,000 feet, so we'll level off and we'll turn downwind, and again we're looking for the reciprocal heading 260 and 080, so we'll roll out on 080. Don't want to be climbing, so pull the power back, 2200 RPM, that's good for a circuit. 080 we've got, we're now downwind. I want to reduce our altitude down to 1,000 feet, so a bit remiss of me to climb that high. There's the airfield down there, see it? And we're looking for that to be 90 degrees behind us to our right, which it is now. So reduce power to idle, turn onto our base leg, 2 stages of flap, carpet can come out. Okay, and we're looking for 260 here. Come onto that little white arrow there. That way we know we're exactly on 260. Let's look over there. There's the runway. And we can turn finals. And we go. Lots of woodland here, lots of trees. We can expect quite a few bumps on those. Okay. And we didn't do any downwind checks. We should have done. It all happened rather quickly. So anyway, I'm pretty assured of making the runway here. So full flap, I've got full flaps now. And idle power, still looking for about 65 knots. I adjust speed with pitch, but with sinking a bit here, so a bit of power coming on. power will change the rate of descent. All that turbulence is from the trees, and we will get a sink when we go over the trees just near the petrol station. There we go. See that turbulence? This is what MSFS is very good at. That turbulence is from the trees, and it's very accurate. So 60 knots we've got. Decision to go. Carb heat can come in a bit high. I was worried about the carb heat, so that's my excuse. We're going to hold the centre line, and we're going to hold the airplane off, hold it 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 off. There we go, we're down. 2 stages of flap off, full power, and we're looking for 55 knots, which we've got. Gentle rotation, and back in the air, looking for 65 knots. We're going to keep the runway heading, which is 260, 65 knots. 65 knots. Right, coming up to 200 feet. 300 feet, flaps can come up. So 260 on the heading. Let's come round a bit to our crosswind, keep climbing to 1,000 feet. So we're looking for 260, which is here, to get onto that little white, tiny little white triangle there. And then we know we're exactly on 90 degrees from the takeoff heading. There we go, 260. And we're climbing way too fast, so we're looking for 65 knots. Okay, and we can just level off there, power back to 2,200, and we can turn downwind. We're going to maintain 1,000 feet this time, and we're looking for 080 on the heading, which is the reciprocal of 260. So rolling out now. So downwind checks. So brakes are off, pressure is good. You should see the runway down there. There we go. So brakes off, pressure good, and pressure down. Mixture is full rich. Bump for pickles. That's do you know what? I can't remember. Engine. Let's have a look. So T's and P's are good. RPM's good. Actually, we're going a bit too fast here. 90 knots. And yeah, it's all getting a little bit too long ago. Right, so that runway is 45 degrees behind us, so idle power. We'll come round to 2 stages of flap, come round to 170 on the heading. 170 we've got. Looking for 65 knots, we're way too slow. Runway down there. So just trying to get speed, so we'll use pitch for speed, power for rate of descent. 65 knots we've got, so let's come round to finals. Okay, not quite assured of making the runway yet. If you remember last time, carb heat's not out, so let's get carb heat out. If you remember last time, we did sink a bit, didn't we? So, and that's because of all the woodland. So we'll just try and stay on top of that this time. We'll keep a slightly higher approach. So 65 knots. Keep those numbers dialed in. Oops, oops, stop it. Done it again. Wow. See, who said circuits are boring? They're blooming or not. Right, now we're short of making it, so full flaps. Sinking again, sinking again. Now, I dropped a wing there. Did you see that? I didn't correct it with aileron. I corrected it with rudder. No. Right, we're going to go around. Going around. So, full power. Established a climb. 1 stage of flap up. 60 knots, another stage of flap up. We're on climb power. We're on runway heading. Okay, and we would call the turn now for an early turn to crosswind. They might approve that or not. Let's pretend they did, so we're going to turn now on our early crosswind. 500 feet, so flaps up, carpet can come in. There's a lot to remember, isn't there? So we could keep coming around. 260, 260, rolling out now. Okay, so we're on the crosswind heading, and we're looking for 1,000 feet. So what other sorts of circuits are there? Well, you can do flapless, you can do short field, soft field, you can do bad weather circuit. Oops, there's 1,000 feet. Bring the power back to 2,200. You can do bad weather circuit, which is much lower. So there's a lot really that you can do. And as you can see, even what should be a straightforward circuit isn't. And that's all due to the terrain. If we did this at lid, we wouldn't have that sink. Same way, I'm going to roll out here on 080. We're going to be late downwind already, probably. Let's have a look. Yes, there's a runway down there. See it? That's the other runway. So we'll keep going and turn base leg now. So power back, 2 stages of flap, carpet can come out, and we'll keep coming round until we're on 170 for the heading. 170 we've got. Okay. So, I don't know if that's a motocross circuit there. I don't think it is. But there's a petrol station there. So, anyway, let's have a look. We're going to turn on to final shortly. Oh, we're a bit slow, so let's get that nose down, increase that speed. When you drop a wing, if the airplane drops a wing, you use rudder to correct it, never aileron. Right, and we turn on to finals. Okay, I'm just going to try and stay a bit higher this time, I think. Turning on to finals. Okay. I keep saying I'm assured of making the field, but you saw that I wasn't last time. So 65 knots we've got. I'm pretty sure now I've made the field, so full flap. Okay. We're going to just try and stay a bit higher. We're going to keep the numbers here, the same pace from the windscreen. Bit of power. Oh, there we go. Bit of sink. There we go. There's the sink. See that? See the VSI? It went nearly to 1,000 feet per minute. See that? That's not me. That's MSFS is very, very good. Anyway, I'm going to make a decision to go, so carpet can come in. Decision to go. We've got about 60 knots. We're a little slow. No, that's okay. That's okay. And we're going to do it. There we go. Drop to wing again. And power off. Power off. We're going to hold the aeroplane off. Hold the aeroplane off. Hold it off. Hold it off. Stop it from landing. There we go. Settle. 2 stages of flap on. Off. Full power. As you can see, we're going uphill here. 55 knots we've got. Just a very gentle back pressure. And there we go. So let's press D, because I think, yeah, see, we press D just to get that realigned. And we're climbing out now, 260. We're looking for 300 feet, pretty much. 300 feet we've got. Get that nose down, 65 knots. We're looking for 500 feet. 500 feet, there we go, roughly. So around we go to crosswind. And we're looking for this little white arrow here for 260 to get onto that white arrow. we've got. Okay, keep this until we get to 1,000 feet. Climbing a bit too fast here. That's all about trimming, you know, and you're taught that very early. So 1,000 feet, there we go, that'll do nicely. So let's bring the power back 2,200, and we'll keep 1,000 feet. We'll turn downwind. And we're going to roll out 080. So each airfield, of course, got its own circuit procedures. As you saw, Popham's got very specific ones, probably for noise. And you don't want to break those because, you know, in the real world you have got people that sit there with decibel meters, you know, and they will report aircraft, and they will try and get the airfield closed down. And you don't want to be the one to do that. So 2,200 RPM, so we're about 1,000 feet. Okay, I'm getting a little fast on this one. Not sure why that is. Anyway, runway is 45 degrees behind us, so idle power, carb heat, turn onto base leg, which is 170 on the heading. 170, 2 stages of flap. Where's the runway? There it is. So around we go. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll do one more, but we will change the wind and give ourselves a bit more work to do. I shouldn't do that because that is just going to recipe for disaster, really, judging by my flying at the moment. So decision to go to that full flap we've got, and carpet can come in. I'm using full flap because we are on a, oh my goodness, look at that, that's just, you know, grass airfield, so could be soft, the ground, could be mushy. Goodness me, that's just hard. There's no two ways about it, that is hard. But it's really realistic. And just over the numbers, we'll hold the airplane off, idle power, hold off, hold it off, hold it off, hold it off, hold it off. Okay, hold it off. 2 stages of flap coming up, full power, and what we'll do now, we'll just change the wind. We're looking 55 knots, which we have, gentle back pressure, and round we go. Okay, we're looking to climb out at 65 knots, which we've pretty much got there. I'm using the trim that's on my Cytec yoke. I've got a trim wheel on the Bravo quadrant, which I can use as well. So flaps can come up, and we're going to turn crosswind. And we're looking for 260 to come onto that little white triangle, which we've got. There we go. So let's get the weather, and let's get the wind. Let's change the direction. We'll give it a, there we go, healthy. There we go. That's about 15-20 knots. So we've got about 10 knot crosswind at the moment. So we're at 1,000 feet. Round we go. Let's bring the power back to 2,200. Okay, so the wind is now coming from roughly 300, pretty much. Okay, so we're just going to roll out 080. So the wind is coming from here, okay? So it's pushing us closer to the airfield. So I'm just going to take up a slightly more, you know, heading to correct for that. Oops, and we are descending, we don't want to do that. So let's have a look, how are we doing? Yeah, there's the other runway, there's that motocross circuit. So we're good for our base leg. We're 100 feet low at the moment, but it's alright. So idle power. Idle power. This is to a full stop landing. Carpeet can come out. So we're going to bring it round. Bring it round. 260 to roll out, or 170 on the heading. There we go. Oops, a bit late. My bad. There's the runway. You can see that the wind pushed us in a bit because that base leg turn was way too late. Look at that. See? So we're going to have to correct for that now. So we've got 2 stages of flap needed, and because there's a bit of a crosswind here, we're going to stick with 2 stages of flap. You can vary the there's the A303 below us. Oops. Yeah, you see? So we're struggling now to play catch up. There we go. So round we come. Round we come. Round we come. There we go. Okay. So you'll see that there's now a bit of an into-wind situation. So we want still 65 knots. Okay. And you can see that my nose is pointing very definitely to the right of that centre line, and I am holding it as best as I can on the runway. Whoa, that's a bit of a sink. Do you see that? Oh my word. See, nobody tell me please that these are boring, because they're not. Okay, so decision to go. Carby can come in. I really need to assign that to an axis somewhere. Whoops. So there we go. We'll stick with two stages of flap, holding the aircraft off, holding the aircraft. I'm going to kick it straight and reduce power and land it down now. There we go. And gentle on the braking, gentle on the braking. I'm going to take this exit here. Yeah, so that was hard work. Nobody tell me, please, that circuits are boring. We only did 2 types there, standard and a slight crosswind. Not even a really heavy crosswind. Kept me busy, keeps me in practice. So flaps can come up, and we'll just come to a stop here and put the power up. You don't come to a stop with the power up, by the way, because otherwise you're just fighting against the brakes, and your school won't thank you for doing that. Taxi light, strobe light, and transponder can come to standby. Okay, so let's go and park. I can't remember where we were parked to start with. We've got Marshaller. They're all having a cup of tea, aren't they? Okay. Right, so full back pressure on the yoke. So let's see if we can park it in this section here. Somewhere in this clump. I do like MSFS 2020. I do like it. So full back pressure. Keep that pressure off the nose. Look at that windsock. That's got at least 3 segments up there. Maybe it's a bit more of a crosswind. going to go to the end here and then make ourselves perpendicular to the taxiway, go forward a bit, and we'll stop about here. Idle power, right, hold 1200 on the RPM, park brake can come on, and there we go, the temperature did eventually manage to come up. Yeah, okay, well, yeah, not the best, definitely not the best. Anyway, taxi light can come off, and we'll just let the engine, we should do a quick mag check. You'll see a cut in a drop in the RPM when you do a mag cut. Back to both, and if I pull the carb heat out, you'll see also that will lose about 100 RPM. There we go. See, 100 RPM. Okay. The trouble is you can't. Well, you do that on the ground, but you then open the intake manifold to picking up all sorts of rubbish from the ground, and that could be, you know, obviously bits of grass, tiny little stones and stuff. And you don't really want that on the airplane. This is one of the JP Logistics liveries, what they call the Well-Loved, and I absolutely love it because this does remind me of the condition of some of the 8152s that we used before. Fantastic. Anyway, let's get back inside. So we'll just bring the power back now and then cut the mixture. And there we go, that's shut down. And we can do beacon light off. We can do the radios off, off, off. Fuel can come off. Nav light can come off. And key can come, oops, off. And then we can do battery and alternator. There we go. And that is that. Well, I worked quite hard. There's a lot of fun in doing circuits, and we've only just did 2 circuit types. We could do a flapless circuit. Your speed will be much higher. The aircraft will float a lot more. A soft field. You come in really slowly and really aim at the numbers. You could do a soft field takeoff. You could do, well, we did a 20-degree flap just then because we had a bit of a crosswind, and because I want to maintain as much rudder authority as I can. And notice that when we did drop a wing, I corrected it with the rudder, not with the aileron, because the aileron might get you to go into a stall spin situation. So you pick up the wind with the dropped wing with the rudder. And anyway, there we go, back safe and sound, bit wobbly though, at Popham. I'm ready for a cup of tea or something stronger. Alright, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.